Good evening. It is 6:31 p.m. Good evening. It's the 6:31 p.m. Town Council Committee of the Whole, and going to take roll call now. Councilor Burrell. Councilor Burrell. Okay. Councilor Bordelon.
Here.
Councilor Fitzgerald. Oh, he's at TVCCA. Councilor Good.
Here.
Councilor Jones.
Here.
Councilor McBride.
Here.
Councilor Merritt informed us he would not be attending this evening. Councilor Pacino.
Here.
And myself, Mayor Parker. We have a quorum at 7. And I'm going to go to calendar communications. Councilor McBride.
No communication at this time. Just want to thank Town Manager Burt, the Public Works Department, and everyone else involved in taking care of the roads and streets. Did a fantastic job. So thanks for all your efforts.
Councilor Good.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I echo Councilor McBride's sentiment, and also would like to remind everybody to shovel out those fire hydrants, and just in case. Thanks. That's all.
Councilor Fitzgerald at TVCCA. Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just echo my fellow councilors, thanking Public Works and Parks and Rec, who are trying to get the senior center and all of the other parks, Thrive 55 up and going. So that's great. And same thing on shoveling out your fire hydrants and also your mailboxes too, if you want to get mail.
Okay. Councilor Pacino.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The snow removal is just amazing. In '78, we had an issue with the blizzard, and I was out of school for 3 weeks. I think it took a day and a half, and we're back to normal. We got some really good crews here, really good snow removal crews. I'm very impressed. That's all I have.
Councilor Burrell.
Same feelings with the other counselors about the snow and everybody. Other than that, I have nothing.
Okay. Councilor Bordelon.
Thank you. I share the same sentiments as far as thanking all town as well as state officials, roadways and partnering neighbors in towns, because the road just doesn't stop, it meets another town. And so there is a joint effort. So thank you to all the collaboration throughout the area. Definitely important about the fire hydrants. Check on your neighbors. A lot of people are still snowed in that maybe can't afford to, pay for a plow, or they physically cannot do the shoveling. I can speak for myself. My backslider, I couldn't get out of it, or my front door, the way the wind drift had blew up against the door. And thank God that, we were willing and able to do that, and not everybody can. So please reach out to people, even days after, and try to help your neighbors. It's a community effort. As far as fire hydrants, if you're unable to do them, please reach out to the fire department and let them know you're unable physically, so that they know that those have not been cleared. That's a message I was seeing around in different other towns as well. But lend a hand, help somebody out. There's a lot of people who physically just can't do this type of snow. And thank you to the invention of snow blowers, which has helped us be able to move things much faster. So again, thank you for all the joint efforts, but definitely follow up and check on your neighbors. But also in the city side, a lot of sidewalks are not still done. Obviously, it's going to take time. please reduce speeds when kids return to school. A lot of kids are standing in the road because sidewalks still are not cleared. EB employees, they had a condensed schedule over the last couple days, but again, they'll be walking in the roads again. So, just keep that in mind. And if you're able to help out a neighbor get a sidewalk clear, please do so. Thank you.
Okay, I am going to echo the sentiments that were stated and also add the police department because the police and fire departments had to be on call all night and working their regular shifts. So thanks everyone for being out and about during this blizzard. P.S. If sidewalks or if it's in front of your house, it has to be done. There is a fine, but please try to make arrangements with someone. Thank you. Moving on to the approval of the minutes. 2026-127 from the February 10th, 2026 minutes. Counselor McBride, please.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the minutes from 2026-127 of February 10th, 2026.
Second, Jones.
Motion made by McBride, seconded by Jones. Any discussion? Seeing no hands, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes 7-0. We are now on to new business. Counselor Good, but I'm going to read the title is 2026-143 Public Works Water Pollution Job Description Update. I believe I'm going to actually have, before we read the motion, have Ms. Green provide an update.
Hey, good evening, everyone. It's been a long time since we're all remote. Reminds me of a few years ago. I will echo on behalf and with everyone the outstanding job our crews are doing from all the divisions that pitch in, because some folks do volunteer from other parts of Public Works, as well as our telecommunicators and our police officers. And I drove by today and the ground looks wonderful, and nice job to everyone. So on another note, I'm here for a job description update. So it's nothing new, no new position, no change in salary. It's just that we are refreshing this job description and making sure that it really fits what we're asking out there for folks, and so that it can be really clear when we put it back out there. You have, as mentioned in the write-up, a few different job descriptions. The first one is Assistant Director of Public Works, and you'll note in that position description that it can be over a few different divisions. In this case, we had it over water pollution, and more recently we had added MS4, which is impervious surfaces and runoff for that. And you'll find there a old job description, which we worked off of, and this was very much in partnership with Acting Public Works Director Reiner. So he's had some contributions for that, as well as others. And really, I didn't do the redlining that you normally see because the job description is so different. The other one was pretty old that we were working off of, and this one really speaks to having the focus on water pollution and people truly understanding the responsibility for it. It's not eliminating the Assistant Public Works Director, but it is adding a new job description on. Rather, I'm not going to go through every single aspect of it. Is there any particular questions that folks have on that? Just the realignment of that job description to that vacancy?
Actually, I'm going to wait until we do the resolution.
Oh, okay.
Motion, I should say, not resolution. Council Good, could you do that for me?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Item number 2026-143, Public Works Water Pollution Job Description Update. I move to recommend a resolution to approve the new job description for the Superintendent of Water Pollution Control.
Second, Bordelon.
Motion made by Good, seconded by Bordelon. Any questions? Council Jones.
Just a quick question. I just want to make sure that the version that the staff is recommending is the version that appears on page 14 of our packet. Is that the alternative one?
Rolling through right now. So page 14 of the packet is Superintendent of Water Pollution. Yep, and you'll see that it has the prepared date and the approved date. So you'll see that's the most recent one of 2026.
So that's the one. Okay. All right.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that and you noted here that we had hired somebody and then that person had left. Is that the result of the changes were made because of what you learned from that process and that those changes have now been made here, or?
No, as you probably know, we don't discuss specific staff or things that are tied to them. But I will say that is not what prompted this job description change. That happened a while ago, and it's just transitions of life. This is more driven, acting director Reiner, who has two titles, so thinking which one do I use? He's taking a fresh look at some of the things, and we just discussed some of the open vacancies and different ways that we want to try going back at it again. So it's a result of more recent conversations since he's assumed that role.
Okay. All right. So I will support the staff recommendation on this, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, seeing no hands, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes 7-0. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everybody.
Good night.
Oh, and we can't forget to shout out the supervisors and the foreman and John Reiner and everybody that has also behind the scenes been supporting as well. So
That's
job
why I
to
mentioned
everybody.
all- Yes, they
Yes.
did a good job.
All right.
Okay.
See you later.
Thank
Bye.
you. All right. Next up is number 2026-142. Brownfields Municipal Grant Program application. And Counselor Jones, could you please, actually, I'm going to have Mr. Reiner at forth, and then we'll make the motion.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. John Reiner, Acting Director of Public Works hat on. So back to Director of Planning and Development Services. I
Yes.
can't even keep it straight sometimes. Sorry about all the snow. I can't control that, but we're doing our best. So quick overview, this municipal brownfields grant that we're looking to apply for. This is for restoration of the Groton Heights property, and the schedule for this, the deadline to apply for this grant is the end of March. So that's why we're moving this forward. Now, at the last Cal meeting, the committee of the whole had selected Echo as our preferred developer for the Groton Heights property. So you'll see that their name is mentioned in this because of some deadlines that we're trying to work through. But essentially, we're looking to apply for about $1.5 million for remediation at the property, again, keeping the exterior of the property historic and doing some cleanup on the interior of that property exterior, as well. As you all know, it really needs it. Happy to answer any questions once that motion is made.
Thank you. Counselor Jones, could you please take that?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 2026-142 Brownfields Municipal Grant Program application. Motion to recommend a resolution to approve the submittal of the Brownfield grant application for the former Groton Heights School and authorize the town manager to sign all required grant documents for such program. So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by Jones, seconded by Good. Any discussion? Counselor Bordelon.
Thank you. My question's, let's see what I have here. Just if we're not approved for this by chance, that doesn't change the position of the development in that respect. They just move on without this, is my first question.
That is correct.
Okay. And then if we are denied, is there an opportunity to reapply for something different in the brownfield scope of things within our town, or is it just a one-shot deal? So like we could be denied because we're using it towards this property. How does this delineate, like, as far as possibly being able to use it for something else?
Yeah, we could apply in the future for another brownfields grant. The brownfields grants are looking for projects that are close to shovel ready, or at least have some level of commitment from a developer to do a project. So they're looking for things that are much more further along than maybe something in concept. But if we have properties that need to be cleaned up, those are certainly things, and some planning work. We could do that in the future as well.
Okay, thank you. So these are kind of ongoing, and are you allowed to apply only once per like time frame? Is there any delineation on that?
Usually we like to apply for one project at a time when we do these types of projects. So say once per round, and they will have, future rounds of this grant. This, I think, is round 23 of the Brownfields grant.
Okay, so we can apply again, try to get ready for the next one if we're denied. So, all right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Council Jones?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Reiner, for applying for this and moving this forward. Can you just talk a little bit about what it will, if we get this grant, what demands it will put on staff, or who, or is it on us, or is it on the developer who has to manage this?
Yeah, no, a very good question. So there'll be some demands on the staff, just some reporting requirements, but a lot of it will really be working with the developer. They'll do a lot of the work for us on this. We've done other work in the past with the Eastern Connecticut Housing Opportunities through our Community Development Block Grant Program, and they do a really good job reporting. We would still be overseeing that type of work, because it is the town applying for it, but it's something that we certainly can manage within our workload. And again, for this project to help move it forward, I think it's a very worthwhile endeavor of our time.
And does it have the flexibility to adapt to the time frame of the project? If something gets pushed out, can it be moved out into the next calendar year, or is it something that has to be done fairly quickly?
Yeah, the state's usually pretty flexible with the timelines on these grants. They know that it takes time, and that construction projects, there's always hurdles that we come across.
Yeah. All right, great, thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Council Good?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One question. Does this grant, does it encompass demolition of the old gym or cafeteria, whatever it was? Is that part of the remediation, or is that something separate?
If memory serves correct, I'm trying to remember in the project scope, if the gym is staying. I feel like they're actually rehabbing that building as part of their project.
Oh, are they rehabbing? For some reason,
I think so.
I thought they were demolishing it and then
Hi,
rebuilding it.
everyone. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, Corinne's on the
Can you
call
hear
too.
me?
Maybe she can
Yeah,
weigh in
okay,
on that
great.
piece of it.
All right.
Thank
Hi,
you.
everyone. I'm here too. Yes, the gym is proposed to come down and be, oh, I apologize. My camera's not on. Be rebuilt to match the historic design of the existing building. But the environmental brownfields grant will go more towards getting rid of all of the contaminants inside and on the grounds.
Thank you. That's all.
Thanks.
Thanks, Corinne.
Yes.
Any other questions? Councilor Pacino?
One quick question, and this is to the mayor for Corinne. Is any of that brownfield area part of the property that we're going to be trading with the library? And does it have to be done prior to?
So the question that you're asking is, any of the property that we're looking to transfer with the library essentially have any contaminants on it?
Yes. And will this be taking care of those contaminants before we get it and transfer it over to the library?
I don't remember what was in the phase. I'd have to double check. I don't think that any of the land that was being transferred was contaminated land. I think the phase 1 environmental assessment that we did on the property, as well as we actually had used some previous brownfields funds on this property to remove an underground storage tank, probably going back almost 10 years or so ago. I don't think that there was any other contaminants and kind of say some of the front open property, but we can double check and read that, check in that report and get back to you.
Thank you very much.
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes 7-0. We are now on to 2026-141, Housing Rehabilitation Programs and Affordable Housing Trust Fund Overview. Mr. Reiner, is this you too?
Sorry, I was muted there. Yes, this is me as well as Corinne and Marshall from our office, who manages our Community Development Block Grant Program, is also on this. So let me just pull this agenda item up. I was making a note to double check on that that phase 1 environmental for Councilor Pacino. So we wanted to give the council an overview, kind of the 3 programs that, or 2 of the programs that we manage now, talk a little bit about manufactured or mobile homes, and then talk a little bit about the Affordable Housing Trust Fund that has been, was approved by a previous council and has been brought up in discussion more recently. So kind of big picture, our community development block grant housing program, we use that mostly. So there's our CDBG grants that we apply for every couple or few years, which might help with a particular rehab project at a development around the town that is an affordable type development. And then there's also our community development program, excuse me, housing rehab program. So that's a revolving loan fund that we've had in place for well over 15 years. And that's one where we loan money out to folks in town, to homeowners for rehab projects, anything from new roofs or fixing things to meet minimum housing code standards, heating systems, insulation, things along those lines. And today we currently hold a little over $313,000 in income funds that have actually been paid back to us in the recent past. So again, this being a revolving loan program, today when we use that program, it's a 0 interest program, and we don't require people to pay us back until once they sell their home or it changes hands. And in recent years, we've been seeing a faster pace of funds being kind of turned over than the ability for us to actually expend those on rehab. And a lot of the reason for that is we're having, and you'll hear this theme not only for our CDBG program, but for some of the other programs that we're working on, is some of the consultants that we use that are required per state and federal law. There's a very limited number of these people around, similar to how we've seen a shortage with building inspectors. It's people that fall within that same kind of category. They often work within multiple municipalities, and it stretches their capacity really thin. And right now, because of that, we have these funds that are sitting for this housing rehab, but we actually can't expend them due to the lack of these types of consultants. So we heard from the Department of Housing from the state that we have to obligate these funds in the very near future by June 30th of this year, or risk having those funds being reallocated to another community. So that's kind of big picture, one thing that's going on that we wanted to put on your radar tonight. But we are working with the state to identify some eligible projects that could be incorporated into our housing rehab reuse plan. And once this work is complete, we'll come back to you with an update and some suggested projects that we could use that funding for. It will require council discussion, a council public hearing, and direction from all of you. But that's something, our housing rehab program, CDBG, that's one very successful program we've had. We've had it for a lot of years. Right now, we're having some trouble expending those funds due to just the lack of people that can do the work. And again, kind of just to step back with one piece on that, we've even utilized some of our own town staff, our building inspectors, to do some of the work, but there's still other consultants that we can't get to commit to us for this type of work. So that's been a tricky part for that one. So that's kind of broad overview, our CDBG housing rehab program. Similar to that program, through ARPA funding, the town council created a housing rehab program, and that operates as a revolving loan fund as well, provides loans up to $35,000 to eligible homeowners for necessary repairs. And that one is available to people that make up to 100% of area median income, and it offers a lot of financial assistance to support those kind of critical home improvements. And again, due to the limited number of qualified housing rehab consultants in the state, we have been working with our building inspectors as their schedules allows, and we've assumed some of the responsibilities for the required program activities for that. This kind of collaboration between our staff, between CDBG, community development, as well as our building officials, are letting us move that project forward. And because it doesn't utilize CDBG funds, it's not tied to those same federal regulatory requirements. So we're able to kind of keep things moving along. Today, that program currently has a balance of $375,000. We have $105,000 committed to 3 active projects and a wait list currently of 10 homes that are waiting to just kind of go through some of our internal requirements. The 3 active projects are also awaiting homeowner approval of the scopes and the scheduling of those lead inspectors. We do expect to utilize those remaining funds by continuing to work through the wait list and supporting a lot of eligible homeowners within the town. Again, the ARPA funds, we have to expend those by the end of December 31, 2026. The third piece of this puzzle I want to talk about is the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And again, I'm going to kind of give a quick overview of all these, and I expect some questions from all the council members afterwards. So our Affordable Housing Trust Fund was something that was created by the town council as a dedicated, non-lapsing resource to support the creation and preservation of affordable housing or households earning at or below 80% of area median income. And the fund may receive proceeds from property sales, donations, and grants. And these funds can be used for affordable housing development, rehab and preservation, down payment assistance, homelessness services, housing research or planning, and some, ideas that we've kicked around in the past is using these maybe to assist with accessory dwelling unit grants, first-time homebuyer programs, rehab and preservation activities, gap financing for affordable housing development, and or support for homelessness or emergency housing services. Today, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund has about $41,000 in it. That was from the sale of the former Colonel Ledyard Elementary School. And although the Affordable Housing Trust Fund has many high-level goals, there really hasn't been a structure that's been put in place for it. That's something that we would need to define to accomplish these goals. And again, clear program guidelines, administrative capacity, long-term sustainability are all need to be considered before we launch this type of initiative. So, one of the things I want to keep in mind right now, you've heard myself and others, a lot of our staff is pretty capped out with the existing programs and grants that we go after. Putting on the management of a new trust fund, this Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and depending on how wide the scope of the council wanted to make it, that's something that we would either have to potentially outsource or potentially bring new staff on to help manage. Other communities that have these types of programs have, additional dedicated staff for this. A few other things to kind of consider before committing, funding for a specific program is that kind of need to balance flexibility and accountability to make sure that all the programs are manageable with that existing staff capacity and avoid creating commitments that the fund itself cannot sustain over time. So our Affordable Housing Trust Fund, that funding is going to mostly be coming from money that you, the council, are directing into that from some other revenue source for the town. I don't expect us to be able to get a lot of state or federal grants for that because many communities are facing many of the same needs that we have. And it's a very competitive pool when it comes to that type of thing. So last piece I just want to kind of put out there for some discussion purposes, and then happy to hear all of your feedback, is I know at a recent council meeting, we heard from some members of the public about mobile and manufactured homes, the condition that those are in, and some of the parks and what they're in. There are a lot of concerns expressed about aging units, limited repair options, unsafe structures, and the challenges that a lot of households face in maintaining these. So to kind of give a quick definition, in our referral, it talked about manufactured homes and how the federal regulations distinguish between ones that were built before June 15th, 1976 and ones afterwards. And some of this affects certain financing options that people have. Now, historically, the town of Groton has not put CDBG or our ARPA funds into manufactured homes. But as we were going through the regulations and the guidelines, it is something that we can do. Just manufactured and mobile homes are considered real estate in the state, although for our revolving home programs, investing program funds and housing that can be moved or sold without the land transfer is something that I think has always given us hesitancy in the past, and hence why it wasn't included in our housing rehab programs before. So that kind of land ownership piece is one of those big missing puzzles. But again, manufactured homes are a great naturally occurring affordable housing option in Groton. So we do want to keep these houses safe and livable, and we want to preserve these units, but there's a lot of tricky pieces when we start investing in manufactured homes. But again, we've heard the need, and I think with that, happy to answer any questions on any of these topics. We've done some research, and we certainly can do some more. But before we started going down too many rabbit holes, we wanted to get a little direction from the council on what some of your priorities are, and then keep that in mind with the direction we're going in.
Okay, who raised their hand first? Actually, I'm just going to
Mr.
go in
Jones.
order. Council Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Director Reiner. Through the mayor to Director Reiner. So I have a number of questions. You talked about the management of these programs and how having the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, you may have a problem sort of managing. How do you manage the other two programs?
So we actually had to kind of shift some priorities around a little bit because, as you recall, we used to have an ARPA coordinator position, and when the person that was in that position left us, we actually had a really hard time filling that position, and they were helping us with that program a little bit. And that's something that we just had to shift some priorities. So again, it's every time we pick something else new up, we have to put something else down. So right now we've been doing our best to manage both of these programs between the housing rehab and the ARPA rehab program, but we also aren't maybe going after some of the other things that we want to do. So again, it's just a constant juggle of the priorities based upon what we need to do statutorily and maybe some of the other programs or grants or other opportunities that are out there.
You talked about on the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, it doesn't have sort of the criteria set up yet of how to do it. How close, being that these are all kind of rehab programs, how close is it to just one of the other programs and just use their criteria?
Well, if you wanted to use the Affordable Housing Trust Fund solely for rehab, yes, we certainly could do something like that, and we could mirror the program guidelines for either of those other options. But I think one of the purposes behind the Affordable Housing Trust Fund was not to do just rehab, but for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, but to look at a whole variety of options of things that the council could do. And that's something that I think we've had some initial discussion, maybe at one or two meetings with a previous council, and we said we could come back with some ideas in the future, but that's something that we never really got to fleshing out. What are the priorities? And if the council wants us to sketch out, all right, here are the things we think would be in a good, successful, affordable housing trust fund. Here's what we think the lowest hanging fruit or the good options in a community like Groton would be. And here's what the staffing resources could be either utilizing existing staff or what we need in the future. The only tricky part with trying to understand all the options of things we could do is we could lay out this great kind of platter of options for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. But if the council said, oh, we're only going to dedicate $20,000 towards that per year, well, that's going to change the tune of what we want to put out there. So there's a little bit of, chicken and egg, cart and horse happening. And maybe, if the direction of the council was, give us some options and give us some price tags of what, other types of municipalities have done, that's something we can certainly look into and do some research on.
In the CDBG program, you said the state wants to pull all the money back by June 30th if we haven't spent it. So either way, we either spend it on projects or it's going to get pulled back. That'll take away, at the moment, 1/2 of the programs that we have in effect. And then by the end of this year, the American Rescue Plan money, the ARPA money goes away. So will that leave us with any programs for doing a rehab by the end of this year?
Yeah, so that $313,000 is just the cash that we currently have on hand. We have other money out there that as people sell their homes or transfer their homes with loans attached to them, we'd actually get that money back. So we get more money back in the future. It's just this tranche of money that we've kind of come into in the recent past dealing with sales or transfers of properties. Because of the lack of the consultants, we haven't been able to spend it. But there still is money out there that we expect to get back, and then working through that rehab program. Again, the ARPA money, once we spend it, we actually expect then same thing, people to be selling their homes, transferring their homes, and we'll start getting that money back in. And we, kind of always having that wait list of people ready to spend for the next project.
So it doesn't end these programs. They just want to take the sort of extra cash that's floating around, just scoop it back and then sort of bring us back to zero and then let the program revolve as it revolves.
Yes, but with that said, we actually have been working with some other internal departments to identify some projects that would be eligible to spend that money on. So hopefully at the next committee of the whole meeting in March, we'll have a few projects that we vetted through the state that we can bring to you to say, here's money that we would have otherwise been spending taxpayer money on. The state said it's eligible. Which one of these do you want to direct it towards?
Then I have two questions. I'll give them to you and then let other people have time to speak. How do people currently find out about these programs is question one. And the second question is in terms with the manufactured home, do you have a sense of the kind of demand out there for repair? If we look at that, I'm trying to incorporate them into some of these existing programs. Do you have an idea of, is there pent up demand or people coming, homeowners and manufacturers homes coming to us going, we need some help? So those are my two questions.
Yeah, and I'll phone a friend in a little bit on both of these with both Marshall and Corinne to help. But essentially, our CDBG program, we don't do a lot of advertising on the rehab program because we have so little money in it. And as soon as we have funding, there's people that are always reaching out to us on some of the rehab. The same with the ARPA program. I think we put a little bit of press out there about it, and boom, we had people submitting applications to us. And again, at a lot of these loans, we see $35,000 maximum. $300,000 goes pretty quick when it's that much of a rehab and the maximum need that we have. We have heard from people in the past about needing help with manufactured homes, and we know that the need is out there. Again, getting into some of the trickiness of it is some of the loan to value of some of these homes. And again, your heart feels for people because they're living in some places that are in pretty tough shape, but they might be in such bad shape that we can't even fix them based upon our current program income, and loan to value type standards. So that's where things start getting tricky. And at what point are we then just creating maybe, and this is where some of the things we might want to look at with our Affordable Housing Trust Fund of first-time home buyer program or other assistance for people to buy other manufactured homes or upgrading manufactured homes that might be in such tough shape that it's better to buy than it is for us to rehab it. I don't know, Marshall or Corinne, anything more to add on either of those?
This is Marshall here. I will say I have been hearing from our residents in the manufactured mobile home parks over the years, and I've been keeping my list of people that would wish to be kept just so that as soon as we can allocate funds to mobile homes that, I already have a list that I've started for that. So it's not that we are just saying no. I'm always communicating with residents, letting them know that, as soon as funds are available, I at least want to have some contact information. And the need, it is great in that area too. And as Director Reiner has expressed that, it'll be important for us to outline clear direction as to, how much help or what type of help we want to provide residents, because sometimes the program as it is, even if we say yes, we want to allow mobile homes repairs, there might be other restrictions within the program. So it's important for us to clearly outline how we want to provide help so that we can ensure that we are actually helping.
Thank you, John.
Well, thank you.
Council Pacino.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through the mayor, to John, the loans that you were talking about that wouldn't have to be repaid until the transfer of the home, would those be considered second and or third mortgages?
I believe right now we do lien the properties. Marshall, that's correct, right?
Yes.
All right, and what else was I going to ask you? The how much money is in the trust fund? I missed that number.
In the Affordable Housing Trust Fund right now, it is $41,000, and that was from the
41.
sale of Colonel Ledyard.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was my only question about the set. So, would you do a third mortgage, or is that something you guys wouldn't do?
So if we, and this is Marshall again here, sorry.
Yep, I see you.
If we are currently second and a request for subordination is put in place by the homeowner through a financial institution, we would consider that depending on the property value. We would have to be significantly below the loan to value amount for us to consider moving third, but primarily no. And so those are some challenges there. Yes. But good question. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. That's all I had, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Councilor Good.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through the mayor, just going back to mobile homes and talking about them not being attached to the land. I'm wondering if lease renewal would be a good trigger. Everybody has a lease on in those parks, and when the lease is up, if they're not going to renew, that could be a trigger for when to repay the loan. Perhaps just an idea. And also concerning that, I know some of the parks with older homes, when they are sold, some of the homes don't meet the requirements, just the outside structure, maybe the color is no longer allowed in the mobile home. And when people are going into, purchase a mobile home, they also have to fill out an application to the park. And I know I've run into cases where the parks are like, yeah, but this mobile home is X years old, and these are the changes for the new standard. So when it changes hands, you might need $5,000 or $10,000 just to paint it, change the windows, whatever the requirements for the parks are. And I'm wondering if any of those funds could work towards that when somebody's purchasing a mobile home. That's all. Thanks. If that makes sense.
Yep. No, thanks. All good feedback. Again, those are things that if, as part of our Affordable Housing Trust Fund, if we wanted to focus on rehab for manufactured homes or something like that, any of this is possible at all. At the end of the day, a lot of it comes down to the money, the resources that, you know, the town would have to dedicate towards that.
Okay, thank you.
Council Bordelon.
Thank you. You know, there's also income requirements that go along with these as well, right? Is that another one of the barriers sometimes?
Yes, there are income requirements. There are different income requirements through our community development block grant, housing rehab program, than the American Rescue Plan housing rehab program.
Okay. And do we have any income requirements for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund?
Right now, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund was created to help people earning at or below 80% of the area median income.
Okay. And do you know roughly what that number is, ballpark?
80% area median income. Marshall, do you know what that number is, ballpark? It also varies depending on the size of the household as well. So what a one-person household, a two or three or four, it's a different number because there'll be different incomes if it's a multiple person household or dependent amounts. But we can find that for you in a moment.
Okay. Yeah, because I know that's like, you know, it's always the folks that fall right on the line that sometimes need it just as much. And they're just, as you know, some people would say to me, I feel like I'm barely qualifying, you know, I'm almost qualifying, you know, some people are missing it by like $1,000 or $2,000. And, you know, being that close to the line, the need is just as great. So I didn't know if that's sometimes any barriers and what things can we do to look at that to make sure we're capturing, you know, all levels there, you know, working middle class that are, you know, a bigger size family, as well as, you know, the lower levels as well. So that was just my question, because, you know, how low is that threshold really, for like even a family of 3 or 2, you know?
This is Michelle, and to add to Director Reiner's response, so for one family at 80% AMI, it's 63,700. For a family of 2 people, it's 72,800. For a family of 3, it's 81,900. For a family of 4, it's 90,950. And for a family of 5, it's 98,250. Family of 6, it's 105 at 550.
Thank you.
And Marshall, have we seen any instances in the recent past through the housing rehab programs that we've done where people have been just a little bit over income and that's cut off their eligibility?
Not so much income. I think people are better able to kind of assess the income themselves. It's more so the other program requirements, and I'm glad you were asking that, because the reason why I also say that we need to be clear, and as some of the council members have pointed out, we need to be clear what our criteria is for how we want to help, because it's not always the income that is an issue. It's all the other variables that we need to ensure that, you know, they are set to accommodate for mobile home type repairs. Yes.
Gotcha. That's all helpful information. So thank you for those numbers. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, and you know, and there might be people that aren't applying that maybe don't take the time because they think they're over income. You know, I was, you know, preparing for this meeting and I was reading, you know, in other towns and things where, you know, they have other different fundings that they're using in other programs. And the number one barrier that some people said is, wow, I thought, you know, 65,000 was over income, you know, and they didn't know. So, you know, maybe some more people would apply if they felt they fell within these brackets, as well. You know, there's a
Council
lot.
Bordelon,
Yep.
you have 33 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot here. I think it's definitely important to look at all the drivers and try to support any way we can, to help people live as successfully as they can in our town, all income levels. And I'll wait for my second turn. Thank you.
Council Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Reiner, this is just on the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. You had mentioned that the $41,000 that we have in there isn't enough to do anything. Can just for interest and just for something maybe in the future that we work for, what size fund would you look for to say that's a viable fund that gives you the ability to do different things? How much money would that be?
So I think it all depends on what you want to do. So if you wanted to do a housing first-time home buyers program for people in Groton, okay, well then you might want to say, well, we want to be able to put aside $5,000 per first-time home buyer for that. How many of those do you want to accomplish? All right, if you want to be able to, and if you want that to be a one-time thing or a multi-year thing, is it a grant or is it a loan? Is it a grant if you stay in the home more than 5 years? So for each one of these, there's a lot of pieces to that puzzle that we want to think about. So that's a first-time home buyer program. If we want to encourage more accessory dwelling unit construction in town, do we want to give a $5,000 or $10,000 grant to people that build accessory dwelling units, accessory structures for housing? That is a loan, same kind of thing. Is it a loan program? How is it a grant? What's the time frame on it? So very easily, we're not talking small numbers. So we need to make some of these programs really effective. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if it's a grant, then once you give it out, it's gone. If it's a loan, okay, then it starts coming back to us after a period of time, and then it becomes self-sustaining. So a little bit of hard thing to answer. How much money do we need? I guess some of it depends on what you want to accomplish as well.
Okay, so something.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be
that's
squirrely on it.
Yeah, no, that's good. That just gives an answer it's way more complicated than just saying we're going to reach a goal to $400,000 and we're going to make that goal, and then that's not really the case. We really have to define, or you have to define, and we have to approve the parameters that we want of a program, and then kind of the targets that we do, and it's a multi-year process to get there. We're not going to just sort of say, let's do it tomorrow. We're going to do it. It does seem evident that 20,000 a year is not enough, but at some point we may do bigger chunks to get to some kind of number. So
yeah, very much so. And one of the things in talking with my team as we were kind of preparing for this meeting, we were hesitant to kind of put all of these items on one agenda item because there's so much to it. We could spend 8 hours or more diving into these 4 different topics here. But you almost can't talk about one without talking about the other. So that's why we wanted to kind of have a broad brush overview of the kind of 3 main programs, or the 2 main ones that we have, and then this Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which is there, but we really haven't set guidelines for, or the council hasn't yet, and we haven't done a big deep dive because we want to know what your priorities are. So, I appreciate everybody digesting all of this information for tonight and having some good commentary and some thoughtful discussion on it. So, yeah.
If we wanted to, as a council, just dive deeper in this, is this information on the Greater Groton site? Like what do these programs entail? Where are the parameters?
I think some of these programs right now are on our just town webpage right now.
Okay, I see Marshall nodding.
Yes.
Okay, so that's where they are. Okay. All right. No, great. Thank you. They're complicated with a lot of different pieces. So thank you for sharing this and sort of enlightening us a little bit into what the town has to offer. It's a lot. We have a lot of different tools that we can use, and it's nice to know about them. So
and again, with the tools that we have, we are in the resources financially and the staff internally as well as externally, as you heard me kind of in the intro, with some of the shortage of some of these external consultants like lead inspectors, that just kind of stops our housing rehab programs cold. The fact that we can't get some of these experts from across the state or the region. And let me tell you, we've been trying really hard for a long time to get some of these folks, just bugging the heck out of these consultants trying to get them on board, and they still are just sorry, we're flat out, we don't have the bandwidth. Some of these folks currently staff 60 communities doing this, and they have to cut back because they can't keep up with the work.
who pays the consultants?
So we do, it comes out of part of that program income. So it's all just out of the grant program. In the past, we even through our CDBG program used to pay a portion of the staff time, but we stopped doing that so that we had more of the money going into the program itself instead of just staff, because we wanted to kind of stretch that money as far as we can.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Burt, did you have anything to add before I call
I was
the
just
next
gonna,
person?
I was just gonna mention and remind people about Pleasant Valley. If that continues on track, that could be an influx of money that could be used for some of these programs.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Burt. I'm actually gonna go to Councilor McBride because it'll be his first time.
Yeah, thank you. I just had a quick question, and it was in regards to what John Burt just mentioned. I was wondering about the timing of that, because I think all these come down to having sufficient funding. And I was just wondering, Town Manager Burt, if you know approximate time frame for that, if that moves forward. The deposit.
I think Corinne would probably be the better one to answer, as she's more intimately knowledgeable of the timeline in the agreement.
Corinne, you there? Hold on a second. Well, so once the property closes.
Can you hear me?
Oh, now we got you. Yep. Okay.
I'm so sorry. I'm having all sorts of audio and camera issues. I apologize. Can you repeat the question?
Town Manager Burt just mentioned the potential funding, and I was thinking, for us to review these, that's probably the most important point is we need to determine what funds are available. So I was wondering, when do you think the timing of the deposit on the Groton Heights would become available?
Okay, the deposit.
I was mentioning more Pleasant Valley because that's where the significant funds are.
I'm sorry, Pleasant Valley, yes.
Yes, and we've received the deposit already. That's in escrow, and then the full payment for the property wouldn't come until they've completed everything and we've executed the final agreement, essentially. So you have the deposit now, and then you get the full funds for the property once the PSA is completed.
And is that a year, 2 years? What are your thoughts?
I think probably about, let's see, with construction, maybe a year and a half.
Yeah, I'd say 12 to 18 months. We would probably, if everything goes well between now and the approval process, we'd probably look a year to 18 months for when they would purchase the property.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that information.
You're welcome. And I think one thing to keep in mind for the Housing Trust Fund is when the town council passed the resolution for it, it has a lot of different options to it. It has affordable housing development, rehab and preservation, down payment assistance, homeless services, and housing research and planning. Since we have two programs that are essentially already doing rehab, which also manufactured homes could fall under for ARPA, it's an opportunity to focus on something with a different sort of impact. And essentially this discussion can get us to really narrowing down on your priorities, so then we can come back with, potential best practices for program parameters for that. And then to answer an earlier question, and then kind of an estimate of how much money you would need to make the type of impact you're looking for. So that's essentially what we hope to get to through this conversation, and we can bring back some good ideas for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Fitzgerald arrived at 7:27 p.m. Thank you, Councillor Fitzgerald, for hopping on board. Councillor Bordelon.
Thank you. I appreciate this conversation, and I appreciate that they are all very unique. Look at the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Some of the other barriers that when I'm looking, I notice it wasn't, I have my time going too, so I can keep track of that. Is that people are also concerned where sometimes it's not just the down payment, but it's the house that they maybe can afford might need, some minor repairs. Can a person, under this plan get a community block development grant as well as an affordable housing first time buyer loan? Or is it like one per year, or what parameters do we have set, if any at all? That's my first question.
So right now we don't have a first time home buyer program. So if there was, if a bank sponsored it, then that's something they could certainly do. But right now we just have the housing rehab program. That first time home buyer program was something that I was talking about, could be an option under your Affordable Housing Trust Fund if that's the direction the council gave, and then we funded that type of a program with certain parameters.
Let me start my time again. Yes, so that is kind of what I was stating is as an example with all three of these. Are they exclusive, meaning that a person only can apply for one, or is there a possibility, depending on how the parameters are set, under the affordable housing section, if we did have the first time home buyer option that was agreed upon, but they find a house and they also need, once they lock in the deal, they got like, I don't know, 10,000 towards a down payment to, for closing costs. And then it needs like, some window work and, could they apply for this other section?
Yeah, if they were income eligible for both of the programs, and that's the way the council wanted to set it up, I don't think that there would be any restrictions on that. We would just need to double check to make sure that by us granting them money through a first-time homebuyer program, that then didn't impact their income and make them ineligible for some type of meeting like any kind of federal income standards. That's really getting into the weeds of it, but I don't know if that would or wouldn't impact it, but it's something we just want to check.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. And I think there's so much we can do with this affordable housing trust fund. It really, can be altered and geared to meet the needs of the community. I know people want it to be robust, but I think, right now people are so desperate that even a little bit goes a long way with good advertising. Even helping out a few people to start is, more than we were doing before. And so I think it's great momentum. So I look forward to seeing what you guys bring back and seeing how we can look to tweak it and implement it moving forward and funding coming through. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome. And a lot of this also goes hand in hand. A lot of the focus of our previous community development block grant and housing rehab programs have been that rehabbing existing housing within the community. Once we start getting into things like first-time homebuyer programs, well, I don't know if any of you saw the social media post that we did this past week, but the median price of a home, not necessarily just a new home, but any home in Groton right now, is $750,000. Somebody who's making $80,000 or $90,000 a year is not going to be eligible to buy that type of house. And this gets more into that supply and demand and what's impacting that the most. And it's the lack of the missing middle housing, those starter homes that we're not building in town. So again, just putting a quick plug in, this Thursday night, we'll be having one of our community conversations on missing middle housing. I encourage all of you to come, share it on your networks. And these are things that we need to make changes within our regulatory environment to get missing middle housing built in Groton. Otherwise, we can come up with a lot of these programs, and if the prices keep going up and up, we can't keep pace with that through some of these programs.
Yes, and also with that, the other concerns that folks have is the folks that find a house they can afford, the house has so much repairs that a first-time loan won't approve it, because that's a protection mechanism, right? As well as VA loans. If the house doesn't meet a certain standard, they won't approve the loan. And so some of these housings that people are finding that are affordable need so much repair that they're meeting the guideline for the house as far as income, but what the house needs is above their head. And so that's a concern and it becomes a barrier. So, yeah.
Oh, 100%. No, great points.
Yeah. And so maybe there's a way, and I did see some programs in different states where there was towns helping people that were putting houses on the market, get them market ready to sell. And there was something that they, like, so that these other folks could actually qualify for these houses. Anyway, just more research, but definitely interesting. Lots of different programs out there. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Oh, yeah, just add to Council Borderline's point there, or answer the question in part. So I will say recently we finished a housing rehab project, I want to say early spring 2025, and the home sold December 2025. So not necessarily specific to your point as to we are helping the homeowner prepare the home for sale, but those opportunities naturally do occur through our housing rehab program, where the homeowner through rehab is able to kind of bring up the home value so that they can sell it. Yes.
That's great. Thank you.
Council Pacino.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We got a lot of people who are probably watching this, and you might want to try to take part in some of these programs. Where would they go, and who would they talk to?
So they would reach out to Marshall, who's on this call. I will say that today, the funding that we have is committed funding. So we don't have, can people talk to us? We can tell them about the program, get ready for a future wait list. But right now, the wait list that we have, we expect is going to utilize all of the current balance that we have for the ARPA program. Affordable Housing Trust Fund, we don't have guidelines yet or really what the council wants to put towards that. And then that CDBG, that's the one that we're having trouble finding the appropriate consultants to help us expend that money. And without those outside people doing certain environmental testing and compliance, income eligibility, there's a lot of other pieces that go into that. We're kind of stuck a little bit right now in that program, but at least for the short term.
Okay, so sending people to Marshall was just put the cart before the horse right at this point.
A little bit. I mean, if he gets calls from 30 people tomorrow looking for this, we're not going to be able to help 30 people tomorrow. Unfortunately, if people want to find his email, send him an email and say, I'm interested, put me on a future list. That's something we certainly can do. But right now, there's such a need, and again, not having the resources, both financially and those outside consultants that we need to do the work, we're a little hamstrung right now, unfortunately.
All righty. And lastly, almost lastly, what is the time and place of tomorrow night, Thursday night's meeting?
Thursday night, community
Missing middle?
conversation. It is at the Groton Middle School. I believe it's 5:45 p.m. You can find it on greatergroton.com.
Okay. And I'd like to thank everybody for taking part in the first annual Pajama Bottoms meeting. This was great.
Point of information.
What is your point of information?
If somebody wanted to donate to this trust fund, say someone has, I don't know, has a family member that has a trust that they're like, their heart would have wanted to go into helping people become homeowners or whatever our parameter is, who should they contact? Is there a website or a donation link that they can start donating to this trust fund? The affordable housing one.
Yeah. I would actually look to Town Manager Burt on that in the short. I mean, again, if somebody wanted to, they certainly could reach out to us, and then we could coordinate with the town manager and the finance office in the best way of doing that.
Yeah, John pretty well said it. It wouldn't be hard to set up. We can discuss with finance and get info out there to people.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you for that. So I appreciate it.
Okay. Council Fitzgerald, did you have anything?
Nothing to add. I appreciate the presentation.
Any other discussion? Seeing as there's no other discussion, I do have to add it. I'm going on to other business. Thank you guys so much for coming out this evening, and we have a lot to think about. So thank you for giving us some guidance. We'll look forward to talking to you about housing.
And no, thank you very much. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk to the council about this. And, we're happy to talk more and get some direction in the future. And again, right now, hopefully no more snow Thursday, but our community conversation is this Thursday at the Groton Middle School. Starts at 5:45 p.m. We'd love to hear from people about their thoughts, experiences, and ideas around housing. So, any word you can spread on that. I know we sent a flyer on it around, and we can certainly send that around. Check our social media. If you share those posts, it has the flyer up there as well. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, my other business, I am appointing the Permanent Rules Committee, Chair Pacino, Councilor Jones, and Councilor McBride. I will now take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I need a second.
Burt Jones, second.
Motion made by Good, seconded by Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are adjourned at 7:39 PM. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a good
everyone.
night.
Good night, everyone.